Today we're going to do Unit 6, number 5, which is factoring when A is not 1. So we've been factoring whenever A is 1, so now we're going to do the difference. So today you will be able to factor a quadratic when A is not 1. Okay, so there are going to be a couple more steps to this, and then we're also going to do our kind of the same steps as before. So first of all, we have to check, is there a GCF? So is there a constant that I can divide out of 6, 10, and 4? And there is 2. And then is there a variable I can take out of every single term? No. So I'm going to be left with 3a squared plus 5a minus 2, because I'm going to divide out that 2 from every single term. So now that I have that factored, I see that this a value right here is not 1, and I've factored everything out. So this is where we have to do something a little bit different. So we slide. So this means we multiply our a value by our c value. So what that means is we're going to take this 3 and we're going to multiply it by the 2. So I'm going to be left with, okay, I'm going to leave this 2, I'm just going to bring down all the way to the bottom, because I know it'll be at the very, very end. I'm just going to deal with my parentheses now. So I'm going to be left with a squared plus 5a, and then 3 times 2 is 6, so that term is now 6. My next step, now my a value is 1, so I can factor it. So what plus what equals 5, and what times what equals negative 6. So if you think about this, you should get negative 1 and 6. So those are my factors. So I'm going to have x minus 1, x plus 6. Now, I'm not finished because I have to take into account what I slid at the beginning. So what you're going to do is you're going to divide by your a value. It's the number that you slid. So we're going to, since we slid at the very beginning, we slid this 3. So that means we're going to multiply both terms by 3. So 1/3 does not simplify, so I'm going to have x over 1/3. And then 6 divided by 3 does simplify, so I get 2. Now, you're still not finished. If you have a denominator, so denominator swings to the front. So on this one, I have 3 as a denominator. So I'm going to take this denominator and I'm going to swing it to the front. And then I am finished. This, the second set of parentheses, does not have a denominator, so I don't have to swing anything. So I have my 2 from the beginning that I pulled out. Once I move that 3, I'm going to have 3x minus 1 and then x plus 2. And that is my final answer. And you can, again, check your work by distributing. Okay, now we have a couple of examples down here. First one, is there a GCF? No. I can't pull any. I can't divide a number by 6, 11, and 3. So I'm going to start. Is my a value 1? No. So I'm going to start by doing my swing. I multiply, so I'm going to get x squared plus 11x, and 3 times 6 is 18. Then I factor. What plus what equals 11, and what times what equals my c value, which is 18. This is going to be 9 and 2. So I'm going to have x plus 9, x plus 2. And then, so I slid, I factored, Now I'm going to divide. So I'm going to divide by this a value that I swung at the beginning, which was a 6. So I'm going to divide both of these by 6. Now this one is tricky because these can both simplify. So I'm going to have x plus 9, and 9 over 6 can simplify to 3 over 2 because you'll have to simplify the fraction. And then 2 over 6 will simplify to 1/3. So if you need to put these in your calculator to simplify them, you can do that. So slide, factor, divide, and then our last step is to swing. So that means I'm going to take this denominator and swing it to the front. So my final answer is going to be 2x plus 3 and 3x plus 1. Okay, so it has a couple steps, so we're going to have to remember those each time. Next one, I have 3x cubed minus 2x squared minus 8x. So my first step, is there a GCF? There's not a number I can divide 3, 2, and 8 by besides 1, but there is an x in every single term, so we're going to pull out that x. 3x squared minus 2x and then minus 8. Okay, so I factored my GCF. So then my a value is not 1, so I'm going to slide this over. So I'm going to have x squared minus 2x minus 24. My next step is to factor. So I'm going to have what plus what equals -2, and what times what equals -24. This is going to be -6 and 4. So I'm going to have x minus 6, x plus 4. My next step is to divide. So I'm going to divide by this 3. Oh, goodness. I'm going to divide by this 3 up here. So I'm going to divide both of these by 3. 6 divided by 3 will give you 2. 4 over 3 does not simplify at all. And then we will swing. So we only have one denominator that we have to swing to the front. So we cannot forget about this GCF that we pulled out, so we're going to bring that down. So we're going to have x times x minus 2, and then I swung that 3 to the front, so I'm going to have 3x plus 4. Okay, so that is number 2. Let's go on to number 3. First thing, is there a GCF? Is there a number I can divide 4, 26, and 12 by? That would be 2. So I'm going to be left with 2x squared plus 13x plus 6. Okay, next step, is my a value 1? No, it's 2, and I've pulled out a GCF, so we're going to slide. So if your a value is 1, you could just factor from here like we've done before. So you're going to have x squared plus 13x, and then 6 times 2 is 12. Then you factor. So what plus what equals 13, and what times what equals 12? It's going to be 12 and 1. So I'm going to have x plus 12, x plus 1. My next step is to divide. So I'm going to divide both of those. What did I swing? By the 2 that I swung at the beginning. So I'm going to get x plus 6, because 12 divided by 2 simplifies. Now 1 over 2 does not simplify, so I'm going to leave it. And then my last step is to swing. So I pulled out a GCF at the beginning, at 2, so I'm going to bring it down. X plus 6 doesn't simplify. The 2 needs to get swung to the front, so I'll have 2x plus 1. Okay, so those are our first 3 examples on the front. Let me know if you have any questions or any of those. Okay, moving on to the second page. Okay, so I have 10a squared plus 25a minus 60. So I can pull out a 5. So I'm going to have 5 times a, oh goodness, times 2a squared plus 5a minus 12. My a value is not 1, so I got to do my slide, factor, divide, and swing. So I'm going to get a squared plus 5a minus 24. So then I factor what plus what equals 5. What times what equals negative 24. That would be 8 and negative 3. So I'm going to have x plus 8, x minus 3, and then I have to divide by what I swung. I swung a 2 at the beginning. So divide both of these by 2. This simplifies to x plus 4. This one does not simplify, so I got to swing it to the front. So I'll have 2x minus 3. And then I can't forget this 5 that I pulled out. So this would be your answer. Sorry, that looks kind of bad. Okay, next one, I have 14m cubed plus 7m squared minus 70m. So I can pull out a 7 and an m. So I'm going to be left with 2m squared plus m minus 10. Okay, slide. 10 times 2 is 20. Factor. What plus what equals 1. What times what equals negative 20. You're going to get 5 and negative 4. You're going to have, oh, is it m? You guys, sometimes I switch the variable. Just ignore me. You put x, that's fine. So you're going to have x plus 5, x minus 4, and then you're going to divide by that a value, which was 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2. So bring down your GCF, which was the 7m. Okay, 5 over 2 doesn't simplify, so I'm going to move that 2 to the front. 4 divided by 2 does simplify, so I'm going to have x minus 2. And that's your final answer. Okay, let me know if you guys have any questions on that. I did kind of go through that kind of quick. Okay, Samsung is designing a new TV that has an area of 12 feet squared. They want the width to be 1 foot shorter than the length. Draw a picture and label the dimensions of the TV. Okay, so our width has to be 1 foot shorter than the length. So our x is our length, and then x minus 1 is our width. So in order to find this, I'm going to find the area. You got to do x minus 1, and then equals, what was it, 12? So then we distribute. We get x squared minus x equals 12. Move your 12. You get x squared minus x minus 12 equals 0. So on this one, our a value is 1, so we can just factor. You're going to get negative 4 and 3. So you're going to have x minus 4, x plus 3 equals 0. So I'm going to set each of these equal to 0. X equals 4. X cannot equal negative 3, so I can cross that one out. So x equals 4, so that is my length. And then my width was 1 foot shorter. So subtract 1 and you get 3 feet. Okay, last problem. This is one of what we call our special cases. So we don't have a b value. So you have to think, is there a GCF I can pull out? I can divide 9 out of both of those. So I'm going to get x squared minus 9. Now there's no b value. So you're going to have what plus what equals 0, which is technically your b since there isn't one. And what times what equals negative 9. Oh, negative 9. Let me put negative 9 instead. So you would have -3 and 3. So you would have 9x minus 3, x plus 3 is your answer. Okay, let me know if you guys have any questions over any of these notes. You guys can get started on your homework.